What's up, guys? We are back for another NECA Toys review, taking a look at a Kenner Tribute figure from their Aliens line, and that would be our Scorpion Alien. This guy comes in the standard NECA style blister card packaging, but this is done up in a Kenner throwback, so you've got kind of the vintage card back artwork, you've got a vintage Kenner artwork and logo down there on the bottom, and then the back has got NECA's cross-sell, but it's all done up in the vintage Kenner style with a cutout for a collector card in the left top corner. Just great stuff. I love what they do with these packages. I think NECA really kills it when it comes to the design for these. All around, they really go all out with this stuff, but we got to crack them out, so let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here it is out of the package, our Kenner Tribute Scorpion Alien figure. This whole wave is one I've been really looking forward to. This figure in particular is one that I've definitely wanted in the NECA, Kenner style, the redo, the rebirth of this figure, I guess is a way to say it, because NECA just really goes out when it comes to these particular figures, and there is a lot to take in with this guy. Not just the fact that it's an enormous action figure, but there is a ton of detail on this guy, a great paint job, and some pretty good articulation, and of course this is a very nostalgia-fueled figure for me personally, so I'm really excited to take a look at this guy. We're going to start, as usual, with articulation at the head, see how this guy moves around. I don't think we're going to be too surprised in terms of, Ultimate-style aliens, but let's get to it. So the head is, unfortunately, the only place that I've seen any kind of stiff joints is on the head on my figure, and I've had to heat him up. So you can get it to go down pretty much all the way, and then it'll look forward, and then it rotates side to side. You do have, a lot of the kind of spines to contend with, but it will rotate. You just have to kind of move things out of the way. Watch out, you do have some tubes here, so you don't want to rip those. The jaw is hinged, and then, of course, you've got the inner mouth that will pop out, and then you can just put all that away. Arms go out, they rotate. You've got an upper elbow swivel, I guess is the best way to say it, and then double jointed elbows. You have got hinges and rotation at the wrist, and then you've got hinges at the two middle fingers. We've got an upper diaphragm swivel, so he goes backwards, down, side to side really well, and then full rotation. There's a ton of movement and motion up there. Legs pretty much go all the way out if you want to do an almost splits, and as usual, one of the joints here is ratcheted, which does help for stability. They kick forward, they kick back. You've got rotation up there. You've got another kind of double rotating joint, so the upper knee will rotate, and then you've got double joints. It doesn't go all the way back because of the sculpt here, so it goes about that far, but that's more than enough I can think of. You've got ball pegs down at the ankles, so hinge, side to side, rotation, rocker, and then you've got hinged toes down there as well. So it's pretty standard stuff for current aliens, I think, but he does move around really well. And again, the only area that I had a single, even remotely stiff joint was at the head. So if you encounter anything like that, just heat it up, don't chance it. But once I applied some heat, it moved around just fine. Articulation aside, the real draw for these figures is their look. And I say that a lot with NECA stuff, but when it comes to the Kenner figures, that's literally what the appeal is. It's their design and how NECA has incorporated that classic Kenner sculpt and some of those colors, because a lot of those figures had pretty wild colors, into a very detailed NECA alien xenomorph body, and I think they've done a pretty fantastic job here. So there is a very copper color scheme going on with this figure, which is exactly what the original looked like, and we will do a comparison here shortly, but it also has some different colors and hues going on. So like at the front of the head, there is a hint of blue. At the rib cage, there's a hint of blue that runs through there, but for the most part, this guy is deep browns, the copper overspray colors, and then black, of course. And then, of course, you've got just a tremendous level of detail here. So you've got the spines that come out of the back of the arms, at the wrists. You've got these incredibly long fingers, the spines that come down out of the knees from the front as well as from the side, and then you've got some on the back. Just, of course, tons and tons of detail on the thighs, that almost organic, mechanic look that aliens have, where they look like, they've got almost metal that's in their bodies, just the way their bone structure is put together and how their bodies are built. So it's a very mechanical yet organic looking thing, and you can tell that it comes through really well with the sculpt here. I mean, NECA always goes all out when it comes to alien figures, and this is no exception. You've got more of that, kind of armored carapace look that goes through the armor on the outside of the figure. You've got the very large spines that that stick out of the back that go straight up on this guy, and I think they look really, really nice. Of course, you do have a tail here, and I suppose I could have talked about this with articulation, but I figured we'd talk about it now. So you do have this very long tail that comes out to a very, very Scorpion-esque stinger point. And this guy is basically a one long bendy wire up to about the stinger. So it stops right around here. So you've got a lot of movement potential all the way around. So it's a bendy wire up until about here. And then it's, you know, it's fully sculpted, fully painted. Just a different kind of material than the rest of the figure, and it helps with balance on this guy very well, very nicely as well. So you can sit it down on the floor, or maybe get him into some other poses, or use it as a counterweight in some ways if you've got him in a more dynamic pose. And then of course we've got, you know, the head sculpt on this figure, which has kind of like a buzzsaw look that runs all the way back, kind of like the carapace on a Scorpion, as the kind of scales almost go backwards through the head. So it's just a fantastic sculpt. There's really no way to complain about this. I think it looks fantastic. It's very much an updated, modernized, more detailed interpretation of that Kenner figure, and I think NECA absolutely nailed it. It's a fantastic, gruesome looking figure, and I mean, you can't be upset when you have a figure that can do something like that. That's always fun. I can't get enough of that kind of stuff, and it's just another quality Alien figure from NECA. It just happens to be more interesting to me personally because I do love this old vintage line so much. And speaking of, here is the vintage figure with our new version. And you can see, obviously, they're incredibly different, but they are very similar. And you can see where NECA took a lot of their inspiration with some of the spikes that come out of the knees and on the arms. And then, of course, the style of the spikes that come out of the back. You've, of course, got that Scorpion-style stinger tail. And then, of course, the color scheme. So that's a big thing for this particular figure, is that the original was black with a coppery, gold, bronzish, almost overspray on the figure. And then, of course, it does have an action feature. Now, this figure doesn't explode like the Kenner one does, but, I mean, I guess you could make it if you wanted to, but otherwise they are very, very similar, while at the same time being, you know, obviously different eras of action figures. So this guy holds a special place for me, even though I just finally got him again. You know, I had this guy as a kid, but it's really cool to have something like this and then a modernized version for collectors, which NECA really goes all out on. Now, this guy does not come with any actual accessories, but he does come with a bonus item. So one of the things that NECA does when it comes to these Kenner homage, Kenner tribute figures, is that they reprint the comics that were included with the Kenner figures from back in the 90s. So this is one of the Dark Horse comics. This is the Scorpion Alien Operation Rescue comic, and this is just a reprint of that same vintage comic. So you've got, you know, the exact same story, the exact same artwork, the whole deal, everything's in here. So there's a quick kind of rundown of something regarding the Scorpion Alien. You can see it there, taking down some Colonial Marines and getting blasted, stuff like that. So this is really cool. You know, I've got this vintage comic myself, but it's really nice to actually have this kind of stuff. It's one of those things that lets you know that NECA really goes the distance when it comes to making these kinds of figures. So overall, this is a really good action figure. I only had one real problem with articulation that was resolved with some quick application of heat. Otherwise, it moves really nicely. Sculpt is just absolutely insane. The paintwork is top-notch. Everything about this figure, even if it wasn't a Kenner tribute figure, looks amazing. It's just a nice design, and I think NECA's translated it into this line really, really well. It's got a great sense of, you know, vintage-inspired design to it, while also very much being something that is clearly meant for the collector market, and it's just a cool toy. It's very much something that I'm glad I have. It is very much a nostalgia thing for me, but at the same time, this is an awesome figure. Even if you don't care about the Kenner stuff, this is going to be a really cool alien, a really cool xenomorph to throw into your collection. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys Kenner Tribute Scorpion Alien. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.